Hey friends, welcome. My name is Roger Nishioka. I have the high joy and privilege of being senior pastor at Village Presbyterian Church here in Prairie Village, Kansas. It is a joy to welcome you to this second of our 8 Village Connect series conversations on the Sermon on the Mount, specifically the Beatitudes of Jesus Christ. So we're looking at a verse today from the Sermon on the Mount. This is actually Matthew 5, verse 3. The first, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So remember the setting. Crowds have been following Jesus. He has just begun his public ministry. He's got Simon and his brother Andrew, and then James and his brother John. He's only called 4 of the 12 disciples so far. He's been walking around, healing people, preaching, teaching. His primary message is the kingdom of heaven is near, and crowds have been with him. He draws the crowds onto a mountain, hence the Sermon on the Mount. We think it's Mount Eremos in the northwest corner of the Sea of Galilee region. He has them all sit down with him and he begins to teach. And the first words out of his mouth are, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." I'm convinced that Jesus is looking around at the crowd. He's been with them now. He knows who some of them are. He hears them. He's been teaching and touching them and hopefully healing them. And I think he knows some of what they need. And his first words are, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Hey, the word blessed, the Greek word is makarios, which means to be blessed. The Latin is beatus, and we get the word beatitude from the Latin, beatus, to be blessed. To be blessed is to be made fortunate. Blessed are you. It's effectual speech, which is a term that theologians use, which means that when Jesus says this, that something happens as a result. And so those who are poor in spirit, they're blessed because the kingdom of heaven belongs to them. It's theirs. It's divine speech in that it isn't humans who do this, it is God who does this. When Jesus says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit," it's not that they themselves are blessing themselves or other human beings are blessing them. It's that God, in Jesus Christ, is blessing the poor in spirit, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. So that's our first beatitude, blessing. Some call this the blessings. Blessed are the poor in spirit. That phrase, poor in spirit, means those who recognize and know that God is the one who is greater and beyond all of us. Hey, listen to this lovely quote from one of our theologians, John Calvin. He says, "The poor in spirit are those who see that they are totally and completely in need of God's mercy." The poor in spirit are those who see that they are totally and completely in need of God's mercy, that they are totally dependent upon God's graciousness and kindness, that there's nothing in us that's deserving of God's grace. We stand in complete, utter need of God's mercy and God's kindness. It evokes a response for us, of course, but there's nothing that we do. We aren't worthy of this. It's God is the one who is acting here. That's what it means to be poor in spirit. It's almost as if you're poor in your own spirit, as in your own arrogance. The poor in spirit, they don't say, "I got this." The poor in spirit, they say, "God has got this." They believe that to be true. Another church father, John Chrysostom, says the poor in spirit are the truly humble. Until we recognize our condition, he writes, we cannot grasp God's grace. The poor in spirit are truly humble. Until we recognize our condition, we cannot grasp God's grace. There's something beyond us. That's what it means to be poor in spirit. This is not our doing, this is God's. This happens to me over and over again as a pastor, as a preacher, as a teacher. There are moments when I recognize, oh my goodness, Lord Jesus, this is bigger than me. This is way bigger than anything I can do or not do. This is all about you. One of my good friends, when I was on faculty at Columbia Seminary, teaching there for 15 years, one of my good friends, the Reverend Dr. Anna Carter Florence, an amazing preacher and an amazing teacher of preaching. She would tell this wonderful story at the start of her intro to preaching classes for these students. She would tell the story of preaching as a guest preacher somewhere in the country. I can't remember where she was. She preached a sermon there in that congregation in that worship hour, and then she's greeting people at the end, and people are walking by and saying thank you. And she's treating them, of course, with kindness, and they're blessing her with their kindness. A woman comes up to her, just heartfelt, grasps both of Anna's hands in hers and says, "Oh, you have no idea, Pastor, but I needed to hear your sermon today. That's exactly what I needed to hear. I've been blessed so much." Anna, of course, is humbled and says, "I'm so glad." And then the woman says, "Especially the story of the red wagon. Thank you so much. I'll carry that with me for the rest of my life." Anna says, "Of course." Greets her, and the woman leaves. Then Anna turns to her class, her introduction to preaching class, and she tells them, "In that sermon on that day, I did not tell a story about a red wagon." And the class is like, wait, what? And she smiles and says, "I did not tell a story about a red wagon. There was no reference to a red wagon throughout the entire worship hour." And the students are like, well, then what was that woman talking about? And Anna says she was talking about the grace of God, that obviously God revealed to this woman a story about a red wagon, but it didn't come through me, but it came because of God. And then she goes on to tell them that in the act of preaching, you offer what you can, but you just trust that God takes it and uses it however God chooses. It is bigger than you. It's not just always all about you. That's what it means to be poor in spirit. The poor in spirit realize that God is greater than us, and God is doing things beyond even our knowing. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who are poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I think it means that in some extraordinary way, when you realize that God is greater and God is the one who's ultimately always in control, then you also realize you belong to that kingdom, that reign of God. Remember that in this ancient world, they know about kings and kingdoms. They know about the power of kings to affect their lives, for better or for worse. They also know that a good king is someone who cares for the welfare of the people and provides for their safety and for their security always. To be part of the kingdom then of heaven is to belong under the reign of the King of heaven, the one who provides for all of our needs, the one who keeps us safe, keeps us secure, blesses us. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. You're going to explore what it means to recognize that it isn't really all about us, it really is all about God. And then what it means to belong in the reign of God, the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven. Good to be with you. Looking forward to the next conversation. The blessings continue. Friends, as always, Lord be with you.